Hello and welcome to the UIW Alumni Corner. I'm your host, Joey Gonzales, and today I'm joined by graduate alumnus Ashley Behabetz. Ashley, you're the game presentation senior coordinator for the San Antonio Spurs, so thank you again for joining us here today.
Absolutely. I'm so happy to be here. I feel like I come back at least once a semester to UIW. I can't get away.
How much have you enjoyed UIW? You mentioned coming back here once a semester. What's it mean to you?
Oh, it's so great. I usually come and talk to Dr. Gwynn's class, and it's good to see Dr. Gwynn. I mean, I want to be him when I grow up, essentially. So it's always good to come back and visit, see Dr. Gwynn, Susanna, all of our comms people. So it's a good feeling.
Well, I will say anytime that your name is brought up in a class, you're one of the major alumnus that is brought up. So
that's so good to hear.
That's one thing for you right there.
Awesome.
So I wanted to start to talk about your journey to UIW. You started off at Colorado Christian. You graduated there in 2014. After that, you had several jobs and opportunities before coming to get your master's here. So just talk about how those kind of experiences helped you as a master's student.
Yeah, I think, like you mentioned, I graduated in 2014 and had quite a bit of work experience before I started my master's program here at UIW. And I can remember talking to Dr. Gwynn when I was initially considering joining the program. And I was asking, like, I have all this experience. Is it going to be a waste? Like, I want to be able to apply it to classes or courses, or maybe save myself some time by being able to apply this real world experience. And he said, unfortunately, we don't have any kind of program like that. But what we can do is you can use the experience that you already have to start working on your final project. And you can attribute some of your hours to being able to commit to doing what you're already doing. So it was a transition that made sense to be able to use some of my real world experience and then being able to come in and fine tune some of those experiences for me.
What was that final project that you decided to do?
I think I did like a career pathing, and it actually means a lot to me because I think it reflected a lot of how I ended up into the role that I am now, and just being able to trust the process, fine tune your skills and characteristics, and making sure that like you're trusting the process and ending up where you're supposed to be.
Talking about some of your experiences, you were at DaVita Healthcare. That was your first internship,
yeah.
And then ultimately goes over to Colorado Rapids and the Colorado Rockies. So just talk about how you've been able to merge marketing with sports.
Sure. So I started with DaVita Healthcare Partners, and I was actually a communications intern. So I did both internal communications, external, and then I worked in some capacity with marketing as well. And at the time when I graduated college, I thought I wanted to do PR media management. So I was like, this internship will be perfect. I'll get to learn PR. I'll get to do communications. And I got into it and I was like, I hate this. It was not what I thought it was going to be. And so I had some previous experience in broadcasting as an intern while I was in college. And so I thought maybe, okay, I'll revisit broadcasting. And I didn't have a demo reel. I had nothing to show for it. So my mom literally picked up a camera and we went downtown and I made a bunch of fake stand-ups. And I put a demo reel together that was 100% fake and I sent it everywhere. And so I was like, I sent it to the Rapids. I sent it to the Rockies. Anyone that had an email, I sent it to. The Rapids are the ones that called me back and they were like, hey, we liked your demo reel, could you come in for an audition? And I auditioned and I got the job. And so from then I was hosting for the Rapids. I worked on the Rockies on their promotions team. That's actually how I got my start. And so being able to start in communications and realize that maybe that wasn't for me, it put me in the right direction of where I needed to go from a broadcasting perspective.
What was the biggest enjoyment once you got into soccer? What was the big wow?
Honestly, just being in the big leagues, like the MLS is it's no, Premier League or, some of the soccer that you see across the world, but to be part of an MLS team, and I covered the All-Star game that year. MLS All-Star was in Denver. So to be able to see just how big of an event it was and how big the league is and how important it is to be a part of a big league organization was, I think, kind of the coolest part when I first started with the Rapids.
Where do they play at in Denver right now?
Dick's Sporting Goods Park, which is just outside of downtown Denver.
And the crowd, just describe the crowd for that All-Star game.
Honestly, gosh, it was crazy. I mean, soccer fans of all ages. I mean, it was packed because they have, similar to Toyota Field here, where we have the main stadium and then we have a bunch of soccer fields around it. Same kind of setup at Dick's Sporting Goods Park. So not only did they have the All-Star game, but then they had all of the youth leagues. So it was just soccer of every age, of every fan was there, and it was really cool. I mean, just such a cool experience to be a part of. The
growth in United States soccer continues to grow. Obviously, the World Cup going to be here in a couple of years.
It'll be
a part of that?
Exciting. I'm not sure. Soccer's not my favorite, I will admit. But, if they give me the call, I don't see why not.
Well, Ashley, we talk about sports being your background. You come from a softball background, so I'm going to go back in time a little bit more. You were a high school softball coach in Colorado, 3-time state champions.
Yeah.
But staying on that topic, how did that leadership as a coach help you in order to be the senior coordinator that you are today?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So in my role today, I manage 4 part-time staff. They're assistants seasonally, so they help us in the office, they work game nights, and I've always kind of felt like I have that same mentorship or coaching philosophy with them as I did with the girls when I coached. I think I was under a head coach who really truly knew the game and is well respected in Colorado and probably across the country within fast pitch. And so he always taught me how to handle things with grace and how to be slow to anger, to understand where girls are coming from, that it's not just about softball. Like, there's things that are going on in people's lives, especially at the high school level, that, you know, sometimes take precedent over the game, right? And so I try to use that same empathy and that same philosophy with my assistants, because it's like they'll only be here for a year or two, but my goal is that by the end of it, and when they leave or graduate in the case of high school softball, that they can go on and be prepared to be bigger and better people.
Well, Ashley, we'll talk a little bit more about your experience with the Spurs. We'll get ready to step aside, but we'll talk about it when we come back. You're watching Alumni Corner. Cool.
How's
Sounds
your
great.
day?
Sounds
Good, but I have a lot of work to do, sadly.
Well, I'm sure you'll get it all done. Oh, and when you're done, can you help me with something later?
Sir?
Are you done yet?
Yeah, let's go off the train. I'm heading that way. Yeah, man, I can meet you outside.
They're people, not monsters. If you are struggling, call or visit 211 for help.
Hello and welcome back to Alumni Corner. I'm Joey Gonzales, and once again I'm joined by Ashley Behabetz. Ashley, thank you again for joining us here today. I wanted to dive a little bit more into your role with the San Antonio Spurs. Just kind of, if somebody didn't know what it was, how would you describe it to them?
Sure. So I'm a game presentation senior coordinator. So essentially I am building the script, we call it a format, for every single game. And I think most fans would not expect that there's a script and a format and everything, that how much work goes into one game. But essentially from the time the doors open until the final buzzer, we have it scripted and I'm the one who builds it. So I work with quite a few departments to piece together group sales efforts, marketing partnerships, sponsorship activations, season ticket member services, making sure that basically they give me all of the pieces and then I build the puzzle for every single game. So it's quite a bit of work.
So you talked about that script. Say there's a Spurs game on Thursday. This is a Tuesday. How long does that script take to prepare before the first person steps into their seat at the Frost Bank Center?
Yeah, so I typically work 3 to 4 games ahead of time. So if we're on that Thursday game, I had been probably working on that game for at least a week, if not beforehand. Essentially, I can get the structure of a script together pretty early on, and then as we get closer to the game, that's when those final details come. There's some information that I can't get until the day of the game, so I'll be fine-tuning that actual script until I print it and consider it like ready to go before our rehearsals start.
So we're headed into the off season right now, getting ready for next NBA season. How big is the off season? We know it's important for players, but what about for a person like yourself?
Oh, it's huge for us too. I think, my role in our department is very similarly structured to, an athlete's schedule in terms of having an in-season and having an off-season. And the in-season really doesn't give a lot of opportunity for rest and recovery. And so the off-season for us is an opportunity to rest, recover, take a step back and evaluate what went well, what could we do better. And then we also have SAFC, so we get to keep busy with soccer as well during the summer.
I want to talk about some of the soccer. Obviously, we talked about you with Colorado Rapids earlier, the Colorado Rockies as well. So you had an opportunity to be in front of the camera. Now you have the opportunity to be behind the scenes as well. How would you say that the in front of the camera has helped you behind the scenes as well?
Yeah, I think being in front of the camera, there's obviously a lot of pressure in a very different capacity. And so now working behind the scenes, I know exactly what to do to help talent make sure that they're set up for success, because I know there is a lot of pressure. And even though it seems like they're standing and talking in front of a camera, there's a lot of preparation that goes into that. So being behind the scenes and being able to serve talent, I think helps me be able to make sure that they're well equipped to be able to be successful.
I have to ask you, do you prefer being in front of the camera or do you prefer the behind the scenes?
That's a good question. I like both. I like being on camera. I like being behind the scenes. And essentially, I think I want to be able to know how to do everything. I think that makes me more valuable in the long run to be able to manage everything. That's such a tough question. I think I'd say both. I know that's not a great answer, but when the opportunities come knocking for me to be on camera, I never say no.
Well, Ashley, the last question I wanted to ask you, you've had so much experience, whether that's the high school coach, whether that's your experience in PR, in front of the camera, behind the scenes as well. But what has been your favorite part of this whole journey?
Yeah, I think so far my favorite part, we got to go to Paris this year for the Paris Games. And so it was so meaningful for the organization to be in the home country of Victor Wembanyama. But also just from a personal perspective, visiting Paris on its own is pretty special. But to be able to go to Paris for work, be able to put on a show for a completely new audience in a new country was really special. How are the fans? We know Victor Wembanyama is from France as well. Were they all for him, or was it for the Spurs? I think it was for the Spurs, absolutely, because the first home game, it was 2 games out there. The first home game was a Pacers home game, and it was very clearly felt like a Spurs home game. So yeah, they were there for the Spurs and for Victor for sure. Well, Ashley, I would love at this opportunity, would you like to say anybody watching this that maybe wants to get into your field? What advice would you have for them? Yeah, absolutely. I think just keep trucking along. It's not an easy road. There's a lot of challenges and there's a lot of opportunities where you feel like maybe this isn't the path for me, or maybe I should just go get a 9-to-5. But if it's really in your heart to do it and you have a passion for sports in this industry, it's worth the work. And I think every time that you feel like it might be that opportunity to stop or pivot and go in a different direction, the right doors, the right opportunities always open. So I encourage you to stay true to the path and know that the right opportunities will come. You'll always end up where you're supposed to be. Well, Ashley, whether it's with the Spurs, the Missions, or SAFC, I look forward to seeing what you're going to do. Yes, thank you so much for having me. Well, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. Once again, this is Ashley Behabetz. I'm Joe Gonzales, and thank you for watching Alumni Corner.